A point I mentioned briefly in my how to draw rotating a box video was how to do in-betweens. So I realized I probably didn't explain that in the best way, and I thought that this was a good opportunity for me to show it again. So if you see, my screen here, this was like the example that I did, and like below here was basically me trying to show that from this point, well, would it be that point? Yeah, I guess you would say that. From like this point to this point, there's like an array of like different boxes. So like this is your keyframe, and these are both like keyframes. So like the ones we decided to self-define, and like we're trying to go from here to this point, and there's a whole bunch of stuff in between. We could like basically fit in more rotations, like as we go, we could fit in more stuff like right here. So probably the best way for me to go about that is to try to show like starting things with it. So like I would say probably I'm gonna like draw over the keyframes here. I just realized I probably shouldn't have drawn on my stupid layer that I didn't want to do that on, but oh well. So let's say, so like this is the line, so like this line right here is the same as this line right here. They're the same. And this line right here is the same as this line right here. But we have another issue. So the issue that we have, sorry, just give me 1 second. I'm gonna hide that because we don't really need that right now. And I'm just gonna erase that if I knew what layer it was on. Okay. Okay, well, perfect. Okay, sorry about that. Effectively, we are gonna like try to get to from the first box to the second box, but the other thing I want to mention is how we have an extra line here, like in this second keyframe. So I'm just gonna label these like this will be keyframe 1 is the box. Well, probably it's better for me just to do it like that. And keyframe 2 is like this box that is like slightly tilted. If I could be any more horrible with that really small example. Okay, so yeah, this line here, sorry, let me explain that better because I'm just pointing here. So this line here, let me do that better. This line here, we can't see this. We can't see that line in keyframe 1. It's not visible to us. Now, if you would look at the keyframe 1 again, and you would try to visualize, like if you would draw through your box here, which I'm going to do for this example, if you would draw through your box, and you were trying to like picture the stuff we really can't see. I probably should be doing this in black, but sorry about that. I'm actually gonna do this in black just for sanity. I'm just doing this to save that blue color that I like. Okay, so we're gonna draw through this box. Alrighty. So we're drawing through it, as horrible as I am at doing this. And let's say here and here. Just we're drawing through a form because, you know, all of these sides always exist even if you can't see them. So this line, the line that I was mentioning before that exists in keyframe, well, basically the line, like that line, is actually this line right here, but we can't really see it. And the issue here is we're like rotating it to try to get to that point. So effectively, I'm just going to clear this real quick. In short, what we're going to do is draw like a bunch of frames between both of them. And, it, you know, this is animation. It could get a bit sickening with just how many you want to do. I'm probably not going to do them all, but I'm just going to do enough to kind of like, you know, show that what the possibilities are. And probably there are probably better methods. You could even try to learn some animation techniques and kind of figure out like maybe which ones are the best for you. So obviously when we first start, because that line matches this line, you could just like exaggerate a bit. Like if you really wanted to do every single one in between, it would just be like right here. And probably, you know, the more in-betweens you have, and if you would fit this into an animation, it would be like the animation would be a lot more smooth. It wouldn't be choppy at all. But in this example, we're kind of not trying to do that. But I mean, even like when you have this here, effectively, it's like, it's so subtle that like you really can't, like, until you all see the larger picture of it, it's kind of hard to see any difference whatsoever. And effectively here, we know that since you're rotating at that side, this other side is going to be like, I believe the right word is foreshortened a bit. So it's just going to be like, it's pretty much like right up to it. I mean, effectively what you can use is when you're putting in a new in-between frame, you could refer to the past frame. So a lot of animation programs have that feature. Usually you could set how many you want to do. Like if you want to show the like just the last in-between frame, the next in-between frame. But there's like a lot of referencing the work that you did before. So it's kind of like not as complicated. I mean, it's complicated because having the good ability to draw is very hard. And something I've been working on for years, and I'm still just probably bad at it because I'm trying to explain it and do this at the same time. And you know, the nervousness from being in front of an audience, you could say, even though I can't see you. So like at this point we have like this box here, and I know it's really bad, but it's just for like demonstration purposes. So this is like in between one, and I'm using Paint Tool Psi here. So this isn't an animation program, but the point I want to make here is that being able to do an in-between isn't just for animation. If you're drawing and you're trying to convey something, like perhaps even a rotation, like the whole point of my last video, I would say it's pretty relevant. I mean, you know, being able to think in 3D and being able to rotate things, even if you can't picture it in your mind, like I really can't do that, it could be extremely beneficial to be able to do that. Because, you know, effectively, like, you're improving your understanding of 3D space by thinking about how these things rotate. And by referencing other things, you're really expanding your skills of the whole in-between process. So I'm going to do another frame. I'm just going to call this frame in between two. And effectively, so I'm just going to hide my keyframes for now. And effectively, like in between one, we were kind of like that. And pretty much our idea here is we could just draw like another blue line really close to here. Like animation required is like really, really strong perfection if you want to get it right. But I'm not going to get it right here because I am not a professional animator in any way. So there are some blatant mistakes that I made. Like, you know what, I'm going to do this in another color. Just so you have a better idea of like what I'm kind of doing here. So you know what, I'm even going to show my keyframes again. Why not? I don't know. You know what, I'm going to hide them. I'm a bit indecisive with this. But effectively, like what you do, trying to get really perfect here. In the blue one, I kind of missed hitting the top line, and I do believe I should have hit that. I'm probably drawing way too slow as well. Just know that it's kind of like that, and effectively, you know, it's going to be a little more in because of the foreshortening, and it's going to be a little bit more in here as well. So, got that. Now we're just connecting the lines. But it's really beneficial to think about, like, you know, like this is a box and I am rotating in 3D space, and we are like going out there, taking it, and really stretching it with our mind. And it's cool that we can do this because it really gives a whole bunch of possibilities to how you can take an existing thing you drew and try to bend it to your will. Because, like, you may not always have a reference. I think drawing from a reference is really good, but sometimes you are going to want to invent stuff. You don't need to know about doing that right away. That may be a bit down the path, but just knowing you have the ability to get to that point is, like, extremely beneficial. So I'm going to do a couple more. And I'm just going to choose purple for this one. So this is the third in-between frame. I wonder if I'm messing this up. No, I'm not. I'm doing it right. Doubting myself now. Doubting myself. I'm trying to pick contrasting colors. My apologies if you're colorblind, because I know this possibly could be an issue if I know there are various forms of color blindness, but it all depends. And yeah, I'm really sorry about that if that's the case, but I hope that you can kind of like see what I'm doing here. And I'm doing this really bad. I mean, probably if you were using See, look, I already made a mistake. So the one thing that I wanted to touch upon is usually when you do an in-between, you could show the last 3 frames, or you could just show the last frame. And in general, people just like to show the last frame because when you have all that extra overlapping, it just creates an absolute mess. But just know that it's okay to make mistakes with this. And, you know, even an animator that was doing this, someone that was drawing that wants to try to rotate something like that, you could always like go to your layers or frames or whatever you want to call them, and like you could hide the previous frame and kind of see like where you're heading. So I'm just gonna continue. Okay, so we have in between 4, and you know, occasionally probably people check their keyframes. This video could probably get a bit long considering just like I'm probably doing too small of movements. Like, well, you know, I know there like different people say like 30 frames per second, or 60 frames per second, but I guess it all depends on what level you want to take it to. And I highly suggest you, like, if you were interested in doing animation, I'd say inbetweens is a good free one. I mean, the interface is a bit of a nightmare to get used to, but it's free, and once you do get used to it, you could really do a lot with it. I was thinking of doing this demonstration in inbetweens, but I kind of didn't want to present everyone with a bunch of confusing interface, because I try to focus more on drawing than animation. And I'm probably not, like, I probably need a lot more drawing experience before I would even try to attempt animation, even though I do know a little bit about it, just because of how it could be applied to improving drawing skills, which is a pretty good point, because obviously every medium has its benefits that could be applied to different mediums, but you wouldn't handle an animation the way you would handle an illustration. Like, obviously, if you want to include a lot of detail in every drawing, I mean, it's possible you could do that with animation, but it may take you like a really long time to get anywhere with it at all. And in general, oops, that should be 5. In general, that's kind of like not what it's for. And if you like a given medium, I'd say go with it and kind of learn maybe the intricacies of each medium. I mean, I would say it's definitely worthwhile. I mean, it's not like it's not worthwhile. If you don't like it, you don't have to do it. But just be like open with expanding your art skills, because there's an unlimited amount of stuff that you can do. I mean, I think what matters is if you're enjoying it and having fun. I just realized I was kind of making a mistake here, because I was kind of like making the box shrink a bit, and yeah, that's kind of what I want to do with the foreshortening, but I may be doing it too greatly, or maybe I was doing it right. I may have just been wanting to refer to the corners, actually. But just know that I'm not perfect at doing this. But yeah, so to get back to my talk about different mediums, they could always be worthwhile. I'm not a big fan of painting. That's a little fact about me. I mean, I probably could get into it if I want to, but it's a bit costly, and I love digital stuff just because of its what I like to call rapid iteration, because effectively it's a lot easier to undo your mistakes. Perhaps that could be a bad thing, but practicing is a lot more fun with digital, in my opinion. But some people may just really like they just may really like dealing with like physical stuff only rather than digital, and there's nothing wrong with that. It's all about finding what you like, and it's a journey that'll probably that you'll probably think about and adjust over time, and there's nothing wrong with that, because that is life. Now note that like I'm really trying to check my keyframes here. Possibly I'm making a mistake, and probably I could have gotten more away with I probably am just doing this extremely slow when it could have been summed up in fewer frames, because as I kind of talked about before, there's like an unlimited amount of possibilities. I mean, I'm probably getting way too close for it than any normal person would, but just know that like I'm not exactly sure how long I've been doing this for, but it probably should be known that like I don't know, maybe I've been doing this for maybe like 10 minutes or so. Could be wrong on that one, but just know that like, you know, this is something that takes a really long time, but it's beneficial because we're drawing. And I have to tell you, I don't think it's a waste of time to draw. If you're learning something, even if you don't think you learned something, perhaps your deeper memory picked up on something. And heck, you don't have to do this all the time. Like, you can only do this. You only may want to do this if you want to study something, or if you want to learn about some object and how it rotates or sits in 3D space. Like, there's no obligation. Like, I'm not gonna say, nope, you can't do anything else until you do this with like, or do 100 of these or whatnot. I do suggest that you draw along with me. If you're up for the horrible pain that this is, it's not that bad. It's actually kind of fun. I mean, if you enjoy drawing, if you do enjoy drawing, you don't really hate it. Sometimes things could be a bit annoying, but it's actually quite enjoyable. I don't know. I get into the flow, you could say. I'm gonna have to make a video about that because I realized that not everyone could get into the flow immediately with drawing. And I have to say, that makes a lot of sense because when I first started out drawing in 2019, I had a major issue. I was drawing, but I kind of hated it. And, you know, I haven't drawn my entire life. I mean, I drawn on and off, but, like, the thing is, I feel like it takes a long time to get used to something before you can enter the flow state. And, you know, the flow state is basically, I mean, I have a book written on it too, that kind of like beats the idea to death, but effectively it talks about how you get into a task that's not too complex, not too hard, not too easy either, but just challenging enough that you're able to focus all of your attention onto it, and it gets you to a point in which like you're enjoying it, but you don't know you're enjoying it, but you're just in it and you're doing it. Like, if you ever have driven a car, it's a bit easier to explain it that way because, I mean, that could be a bit of a dangerous thing because you always want to be aware when you're driving a car because, you know, it's heavy machinery, and heavy machinery is deadly if you're not aware of everything, your surroundings and whatnot. But the point I'm trying to make here is that you can enter the flow state. It just takes a lot of practice, and heck, half the time when you're in it, you may not even realize it. So that's kind of like a cool benefit. And eventually you will be able to enjoy drawing. So, I'm just going to show the keyframes, and obviously it doesn't seem like we made any progress, but we did. We definitely did. We definitely did. If you look at all these, like, look at all that. That's a lot, and we're slowly getting there. And you know what? No, I'm going to do some more. I can't remember. Nope, that's oops, I cannot spell. Yeah, I literally cannot spell today. I'm just gonna get up to stretch. Alrighty. Yeah, another quick tip is to, I do suggest you get up occasionally to stretch, because if you don't, you will get pretty bad back pain. From my experience, it could be pretty bad if you don't. But it usually recovers in a day or so if I've done some type of if I get that pain. So probably another mistake that I'm making, which is pretty clear as you can tell, is that you don't want to overlap your previous in-between with a new one, or else it's as if you're just drawing the same thing over again and you're not kind of making progress with your box rotation. And just to make out another point, like, because I'm doing this as like a demonstration, I'm using different colors for every in-between frame. Usually animators will just use like a single color. Different environments define different colors. I really like that blue color because the light blue color in my first one, I just like that color a lot. Mostly because I feel like it's not too hard on the eyes, but clear enough to see, and good for like a demonstration purpose. See, I really messed that up there. I should have put it more to the left. Oops. But that happens. And I'm pretty sure in animation or other things, there are like cleanup passes you can do. So like, even if you were like doing this and you perhaps make a box that you want to do again. I mean, the good news is you could always undo it thanks to the computer, which is pretty cool. I'm gonna use a lighter color. Yeah, it's hard to believe that animators were even able to do what they did. I mean, very skilled, very cool, impressive, and anyone could do it with enough practice. I mean, heck, they probably have done so much practice that it would just... They probably have done more practice than I have done drawing. Probably in like a sliver of time. And don't let that discourage you, or let it encourage you that certain things take a lot of skill and it is achievable. And probably another issue that I'm having is a lot of the drawing I'm doing, I'm using my shoulder. I've always been drawing with my shoulder since I started, but I believe animators may use a couple techniques of just drawing with their wrist, so that may be like a secret method to keep in mind, but it may not always be the most beneficial, because if you draw with your wrist more, you're going to tire out a lot more, or you're going to your wrist is going to get tired out pretty quick. Yeah, I'll use a dark orange. And I think if you're doing this, a good thing to do occasionally is check your keyframes to see like how far you are. Like, look, we got a little far. A lot more to do, but we're getting there. Oops. I'm probably greatly messing up. No, maybe I'm doing it right. Well, we'll see. There is a good chance that I'm making a pretty bad mistake here with how I'm portraying the rotation. There may be some method that I'm not exactly sure about. But, you know, I don't think it's always hurtful to use, like, look, even in this one, like, I definitely made a mistake here. In which, like, I'm not exactly sure what I did wrong. Perhaps I'm just trying to go way too in the insides of it here. And perhaps it should be extending a bit. And I'm not extending out enough. That very well could be my issue, because at this point it kind of looks like... Well, I don't know. Perhaps I'm doing it the right way. But... yeah, because I know this is definitely wrong. But... I will touch back on this video again. I believe I'm kind of doing this a bit bad. And there probably is a better way, like some method that I don't know about. Because I am a bit new to using this method that I just tried. Or perhaps my my second keyframe is wrong. That could be another issue here that I'm having. Probably someone in the comments will say, you should have done this. I'm like, I'll say that's not a bad idea. I really wish I did. Well, I think I will touch upon this again in the future. I'm going to show you all my keyframes here. But obviously, mistakes were made. But I'm going to use it as a learning experience. Because I don't want to be wasting your time in any way. Because, yeah, I think possibly what I did was, I don't know enough about keyframes here. Perhaps I didn't go from one frame to the next frame in an exaggerated manner enough. Maybe I am just doing something wrong, or perhaps my second keyframe is not right. Like, perhaps I thought about it in the wrong way, and it's way too large than how it would really look when rotated. So that very well could be an issue that I'm having. I know there are other methods of animation that involve like not starting with keyframes and just going from frame to frame rather than trying to get to your second keyframe. At this point, it does look like I made a mistake, and out of fear of leading anyone else astray, I am going to end this video here. But I will touch upon this again in the future, because I actually find this really interesting, and I think I just need to like mess around with this a couple hundred times until I really figure out a good method. But just to let you know, if you go to my website, the How to Draw a Rotating Box page, I'm going to post this on the bottom of the page. I'll also put a link in the description and kind of like make a jump area to it, so it'll take you to that section. But thank you for listening.